Imagine you are on a hiking trail in the middle of the Australian bush. It is quiet. Birds. Wind through the gum trees. You have got nothing but your backpack and your whole life ahead of you. Now imagine you never make it home. Between 1989 and 1992, at least 7 young backpackers vanished along a single stretch of the Hume Highway in New South Wales. Police were baffled. Families were desperate. Australia held its breath. And at the center of it all was a man his own family described as totally normal. This is Ivan Milat. But before we get to him, you need to understand the world these victims walked into. In the late 1980s, backpacking through Australia was a rite of passage for young travelers from Germany, the UK, and beyond. The country felt wide open. Safe, beautiful, full of adventure. Hostels along the East Coast were packed. Hitchhiking was common. Normal. The Hume Highway, stretching from Sydney to Melbourne, was a classic route. And just off that highway sat Belanglo State Forest. 38 square kilometers of dense bush. Quiet. Remote, forgotten. The perfect place to hide a secret. Ivan Robert Marco Milat was born in 1944 in Guildford, Western Sydney, the fifth of 14 children in a Croatian immigrant family. He left school at 15 and drifted between jobs. Road worker, fencer, a man who loved firearms, four-wheel drives, and the bush. He had a criminal record. Theft, rape charges in the 1970s that were eventually dropped. But to most people who knew him, Ivan Milat was just a rough around the edges Aussie bloke. A bit quiet, maybe. A bit intense. But nothing more. He had a girlfriend. A family who adored him. He threw barbecues. And according to police, between 1989 and 1992, he was luring young travelers off the highway and into the forest, never to be seen again. But here is what makes this case different from almost every other serial killer investigation in Australian history. The police almost missed him entirely. Almost. It started with Deborah Everest and James Gibson, two 19-year-olds from Victoria, last seen hitchhiking on the Hume in December 1989. Then came Simone Schmido, 20 years old, traveling alone from Germany. Then Gabor Neugebauer and Anja Habskeed, two German tourists on their way across the country. And Joanne Walters and Caroline Clark, British friends exploring Australia together. 7 young people, all between the ages of 19 and 22. All last seen near the same stretch of road, all simply gone. Families reported them missing. Police logged the cases. But with no bodies, no evidence, no witnesses, there was nothing to connect them. The disappearances were assumed to be separate incidents. Travelers who moved on without saying goodbye. It would take 3 years for the truth to surface. And when it did, it shocked the nation. September 19th, 1992. 2 orienteers exploring Belanglo State Forest stumbled upon human remains. What followed was one of the most disturbing crime scene discoveries in Australian history. Over the coming weeks and months, investigators uncovered the bodies of all 7 victims, carefully concealed across different parts of the forest. The level of organization was chilling. This was not random. This was deliberate, planned, practiced. Forensic analysis revealed the victims had been subjected to prolonged suffering before their deaths. Some had been shot, some stabbed, some showed signs of torture. Australia had a serial killer, and nobody knew who he was. Yet, police launched what became known as Operation Onion, a massive investigation involving hundreds of detectives, forensic specialists, and witness interviews. They knew the killer was likely local. They knew he had intimate knowledge of the forest. And a tip from a survivor changed everything. In 1990, 2 years before the bodies were found, a British backpacker named Paul Onions had escaped from an armed man who had offered him a lift near the Hume Highway. He reported it to police, but the report had been buried. When detectives re-examined Onion's description after the forest discovery, a name kept coming up in their database. A road worker, a bushman, a man from Eaglevale, Ivan Milat. Detectives had a suspect, but to make the case airtight, they needed something more. And they were about to get it from a place no one expected. On May 22, 1994, in a raid involving more than 50 officers, Ivan Milat was arrested at his home in Eaglevale, Sydney. What police found inside, and at properties linked to his family, was extraordinary. Camping equipment belonging to the victims, a Bowie knife, ammunition, and most damning of all, parts of a distinctive World War II-era rifle found hidden in the walls of his home, matching cartridge cases recovered at the Belanglo crime scenes. Paul Onions flew from England to identify Milat in a lineup. He pointed without hesitation. The case against Ivan Milat was overwhelming. The trial began in March 1996. Milat pleaded not guilty. His defense team argued he had been framed by his own family. But after 18 days of deliberation, the jury found him guilty on all 7 counts of murder. He was sentenced to 7 consecutive life terms, a sentence so severe that parole was legally impossible. Justice Murray Gleason called the crimes of the utmost gravity. But here is what kept investigators awake at night. Were there more victims? Milat had been living freely for years. There were other disappearances in the region that were never conclusively solved. Some investigators believed the true number could be significantly higher than 7. Even Milat never confessed, never named another victim, never gave a single family the closure they deserved. Ivan Milat died in October 2019 in Goulburn Correctional Center. He had spent his final years attempting hunger strikes, removing his own finger with a plastic knife and fighting his sentence to the last. He was 74 years old. He died of cancer, having never shown remorse. His case fundamentally changed how Australia handles missing persons reports, how hitchhiking culture was perceived, and how police handle cross-jurisdictional disappearances. The backpacker murders became a benchmark case for forensic investigation in this country. And Belanglo State Forest, now open to the public again, still carries the weight of what happened there. Locals know. Hikers know. You walk those trails differently once you know the story. Australia is a breathtaking country, a safe country, but every now and then, the bush reminds you. It holds its secrets well. Ivan Milat's case is one that still sparks debate, about how many victims there truly were, about whether others in his circle knew, and about what it says about the fine line between an ordinary life and unimaginable darkness. If you want to go deeper, the full story of the investigation, the families left behind, and the cold cases that may still be connected, drop a comment below. We will cover it. And if you are new here, this channel is called Only in Australia for a reason, because some stories can only happen here. Some landscapes, some crimes, some characters are uniquely, undeniably Australian. Hit subscribe.